I know how frustrating it can be when you feel like you're doing everything right, but the scales just won't budge. You're hitting your calories, getting your steps in and smashing your workouts, but whatever you do, they just won't move. I went through the exact same thing when I lost 50 pounds. But the good news is there's 2 quick and easy fixes that you can implement today that'll reboot your fat loss journey and get the scales moving in the right direction again. And no, you're not going to have to cut out carbs or add extra cardio. So full screen the video, lock in, and I'll tell you all about them. Most guys don't realize that once you've lost a significant amount of weight and body fat, your maintenance calorie number goes down. That means that the calorie deficit that got you results in the beginning might not be a deficit anymore. And this is the most common reason that fat loss stalls. Say you started off on 2,300 calories, but now you've dropped 20 pounds. And now you're wondering why that same 2,300 calories isn't working for you anymore. Simple answer. You weigh less, so now your body needs less. So the first thing that you want to do is recalculate your calories based on your new weight. Feel free to use my free calorie calculator if you want. The links under the video. It only takes you 30 seconds and I'll send you a recommendation straight to your inbox. And here's why that matters. Most guys don't realize how fast this change creeps up. They keep eating what used to work, but week after week, the scales don't budge. And eventually they start blaming their metabolism, their age, their genetics, when in reality, they're just not in a deficit anymore. If you don't adjust, you'll spend the next 3 to 4 weeks spinning your wheels. Or even worse, you'll be tempted to abandon what's worked for you in the past in favor for the newest, shiniest object that someone's dangling in front of you now. And remember, your body doesn't always burn the same number of calories every single day. Your maintenance can shift based on how much you move, how much you sleep, and your stress levels. So don't treat your calorie target like a gospel. It's not a prescription, it's a baseline. What really matters is this. Are you trending downwards on the scales over time? If not, and you've already lost a decent amount of weight, this is the first place to look. Because even a small adjustment, and I'm only talking about 100 to 200 calories a day, can restart the process. So if you've lost more than 10 pounds and you've hit a plateau, and that "and" is very important, it's time to redo the numbers. Then track your food intake properly for the next 7 to 10 days. Weigh yourself every morning, track the average, and look at the trend. If the scales start moving, great, you're back in a calorie deficit. Bottom line though, your calorie deficit isn't static. It must evolve as your body changes, because fat loss isn't just about working hard, it's about working smart. One of my clients, Sam up here, lost 18 pounds, but then he hit a wall. He was still eating the same amount that he started with. So we shaved off 150 calories per day, and within a week, the scales started moving in the right direction again. And by the way, he went on to lose 65 pounds. But, and this is a big but, if you haven't lost that much weight yet, don't be tempted to lower your calories. I appreciate it can be frustrating when it feels like you're doing everything right, but as long as you're losing weight, just stay the course. If that's you, you're probably still in a deficit. You just need to tighten things up a bit and make a couple of tweaks, which brings us to fix number 2. And this is the one that most guys don't want to hear. But it's the one that usually makes the biggest difference. Because the truth is, when you've been dieting for a few weeks, maybe even a few months, it's very easy to let things slip. Not on purpose, not because you're lazy, but because you get comfortable. You might think you're still doing what you were doing, but the data shows otherwise. You think your step count is still 10K a day, but in reality, now it's 7,000, and that's on a good day. You were tracking every meal consistently. Now you're eyeballing it and half guessing every meal. You were logging your water and your sleep. Now you're winging it and wondering why you feel flat and fatigued. And listen, I've been guilty of this too. I've been preaching the power of calorie deficits and steps on my videos for 6 years. But earlier this year, I was guilty of ignoring my own data. I thought I was still doing it. I assumed I was still doing it until I checked my tracker and realized that my daily steps had slipped all the way down to 6,000. Not because I changed anything, or at least not changed anything consciously, but just because I wasn't paying attention. Now, that little drop doesn't matter if it's just one day, but over time, over weeks or even months, it can make a huge difference. Because NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, the calories that you burn through daily movement, is one of the biggest drivers for fat loss. So I fixed it. I set a reminder on my phone. I started getting out for walks after lunch, and now my average is back up to 11,000 a day. That's hundreds, heck, maybe even thousands of extra calories that I'm burning every single week, all without adding a single extra workout. So here's your second fix. Audit your data. This week, I want you to do 2 things. Number 1, track your steps every single day. No estimates, no guesses. Write it down or just log it on your phone. And do what I did. Set a reminder if you have to. Get a baseline. And if it's low, just nudge it up by 1,000 or 2 a day. And then number 2, track your food properly. I'm not saying that you need to go back to doing this forever, but I also want you to recognize that this isn't beneath you just because you've done it in the past. I've had plenty of clients who've tracked for 8 or even 12 weeks, then stopped doing it for a couple of months, and after that, realize that their progress has slowed down, stalled, or maybe even gone back in the wrong direction. So all we do is get them to audit their food and start tracking again just for the first week. And honestly, normally within 3 days, they're back on track. They realize their error of their ways and they don't have to do it again. So if the scales have stalled for you, now is the time to tighten things back up. Weigh your portions, log everything. Double check those oils, sauces, and snacks that you've been second guessing or just ignoring altogether. Because here's the thing, when you get accurate, when you get brutally honest about your inputs, the outputs start making more sense. More importantly, you start to feel like you're back in control, back in the driver's seat. So before you panic and jump into a new diet, just tighten the screws on what's already been working for you in the past. Because the answer isn't always more. Sometimes it's just doing it better. And lastly, just remember that the leaner you get, the slower this is going to be. That's normal and that's expected. Don't panic and don't jump ship and start chasing quick fixes again. Nothing's broken, because if you've already lost 5, 10, 20, or maybe even 50 pounds, then clearly what you've been doing is working. You've got proof, you've got evidence. So don't let one slow week make you forget all of that. If you're still tracking accurately, if you're still ticking all the boxes, if you've got the data to say this is what got me here, then trust it and just keep going. Be patient, be consistent, and give it time. Because the guys who win in the long term, they're not the ones who work the hardest. They're the ones who stick to the plan, even when the progress slows down. So stay the course, make the small adjustments that we spoke about today. And if you want help putting all this together into a personalized plan with real support, real accountability, and real structure, just go ahead and click the link under the video so you can check out exactly how my coaching program works and see if it's right for you. Or you can check out this video next, and I'll show you exactly why you're not losing fat in the areas that you want to. Either way, I'll see you in the next video.